In other words, every secret military asset and facility on RoboWorld is in danger of being exposed to our enemies.
I want those racers smashed before they reach Zone 7X! They must be stopped before they reach Funky Boy's lair! We can't risk waking Funky Boy up. He's still a baby after all, and he needs to learn discipline.
We're back. Did you hear that, Dan? Did you hear that?
Hear what, Jim? What did I hear?
Did you hear that sexy new intro by the one and only Lee Jackson?
Yeah, me and Jim did a old commission. We commissioned Lee Jackson to create our new intro and outro, and it was a very good decision, I think so.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece of music. I love it. It's fucking great. Yeah.
It feels very cool to say that we have our own piece of music from Lee Jackson. We don't have to use Crash and Burn, even though Crash and Burn is cool.
Crash and Burn might show up in other things we do, maybe, but that's still a good song. But yeah, now we got our own. We got our own joint here. Yeah, it was funny. It was like the other people commissioned work were like doing it for video games and projects and stuff. And ours was a stupid podcast that no one listens to.
People listen to it, Jim. We got we got a guy on Twitter. That's all we need.
We got a couple guys on Twitter. We got a couple of them.
Yeah, that is true.
We got to say,
Jim,
we've tripled our Twitter followers, and not all of them are sex bots.
Not all of them. Only there's maybe two or three. Maybe two or three of them are sex bots. But
a gentleman doesn't tell.
Yeah, gentlemen, I never kiss and tell. I never give my credit card information to a Twitter bot and tell. Yeah, I mean, a number's a number. It's good. If you follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter. If you don't, we're at Shaco Backpod. Yeah. You'll see all the stuff I like and post. And Jim had to unfollow G-Man because he's mad at him.
Do you want to start that with... I don't want to start talking about the G-Man. I'm going to cut this out. So, this week we're talking about a 2009 film. We're talking about Redline. It's Dan's pick.
Yep. It's my pick. It's an anime pick, and I think Jim loved it.
I did like it. It was a big, stupid film that I really liked. But as always, let's do the if you're new to Shack Out Back, it's a bi-weekly podcast. We talk about whatever it is we want to talk about that week, and we always start with a bi-weekly breakdown where we talk about what we've been doing and listening and talking about and playing and watching the last 2 weeks. So how about you go first, old Daniel?
Me first? I don't know who goes first more in the bi-weekly breakdown, but let me give you a rundown here. I've got my notes pulled up. I've got them right in front of me. Me and Cass watched the movie Bubble on Netflix. It's not the Bubble. It's not The Bubble, that one, the live action one with David Duchovny and whatever his name is from fucking X-Files and stuff. It's just called Bubble. It's an animated movie on Netflix. I had very high hopes for it, but animation was fantastic on it. Very, very cool spectacle to look at. It had no substance to it, in my opinion. The story was about as bog standard as you can get. And about halfway through, I kind of turned to Cass, and I was like, this is like a strong 6 or 7. Like a strong 6, low 7. It's very, very good to look at. The story's nothing to write home about. But I expected a little more out of it.
I thought you were going to talk about the film Bubble Boy. Starring Jake Gyllenhaal. You ever seen that? Where Jake Gyllenhaal is a literal bubble boy who eats ice cream through a flap?
Like the Seinfeld episode, The Bubble Boy?
Maybe. I don't know if I remember that episode.
We started Divinity Original Sin 2. Very good to jump back into it. It feels like we started it a long time ago, but it's just because we've picked it up twice in the past or 3 times in the past and started it. But very amazing game. Get it if you can. Even if you don't like, it's a CRPG, right?
Yeah.
Even if you think those are too big to take in, because I know they're a pretty demanding genre of game. I don't know what it's about, but Divinity Original Sin 2 just feels comfy. I was saying it to you. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the UI or how things look. It just feels very easy to digest.
It's very well, I don't know what to say optimized. It's the UI is very
it is
slick and
I
cool.
like it.
And I think that they've made a bunch of changes to the UI in Baldur's Gate 3 as well, and it's looking just as nice, if not better.
Yeah, I was looking at Baldur's Gate 3. You have it. You bought it early access. I was looking at it, and it's like, I'm 100% going to buy it when it comes out, but right now I just don't feel comfortable spending $80 on an early access game.
That's totally fine.
But we also watched Mortal Kombat, the new 2021 movie. It was a big pooper. It was a big stinker. Not a good movie.
Didn't you want me to watch that?
Yeah, I'm glad we didn't watch it at a movie night. It was not it needed to be more campy, less serious. It wasn't bad. I shouldn't say it was horrible, but it just was not what I would have expected. I was expecting something like a Shazam-esque movie with that type of attitude and emotion to it, but it took itself very seriously.
I wanted like the Double Dragon movie from the 90s. You ever seen that with the fella from Terminator 2?
I have not, but I've seen the poster for it.
It's funny.
I played Untold Stories. Very, very cool game.
That's an awesome
I
game.
would 100% recommend it. Very unlike anything I've ever played. Okay, so I got all those notes, Jim, and then the rest of the page is stuff from Untold Stories I had to write down for the puzzles. So I've got a lot of puzzles on here. Z equals this and Y equals that.
I think the first part of that game, the first little the
first story, right? The house abandoned.
The house abandoned is the best one.
Made me jump.
Yeah.
I like them all, but I do agree with you. I think the house abandoned is the strongest start to it. And I liked them all, but the house abandoned made me genuinely jump. I also started Beastars Season 2, Jim. I started that yesterday.
Sexy anime about animal people.
Me and Cass were looking at starting an anime, and it was between that and Osama ranking, and I was like, let's do Beastars Season 2, because we both haven't seen it. I also
Cassie hasn't
finished...
watched that yet.
Yeah, I know. She brought it up, actually, and I was like, I kind of forgot it came out. I also finished Miss Maisel Season 2. That's, I finished that yesterday, and that ending to Season 2 was very bittersweet, made me feel weird.
Yeah.
My brother started Miss Maisel 2, and he blew through it after I was telling him about it, and he said Season 1 was really good, Season 2 was really good. He started to not like it in Season 3, and then hated it in Season 4, and I said, I think I will continue to like it, because we're very different people.
Yes. I liked it all the way through.
Yeah? What about you, Jim? What'd you do?
Oh, Gombi. So I took a week off, and I did a lot of stuff. I helped Brandon move, and I got to get together with Brandon, so met some new people, which was really fun. But I also read and did a lot of stuff. So the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, I'm listening to the audiobook of that. I'm rereading The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. I read that on my walk the other day. And it's not a very long book, so I can probably blow through it in another afternoon.
You're out here reading.
Yeah. Deep Rock Season 2, Dan, also came out.
Oh, yes. Did that come out in the last 2 weeks? I must have forgot to write it down. Yes, it did. Oh, it's so good.
Deep Rock Season 2. It's a little less ambitious than Season 1, but it's still very good. I like the new enemies. I like the new components they've added to crafting and different things like that. So, very good. And I've put shitloads of hours the last 2 weeks. Probably, if I'm on my computer, I was probably playing Deep Rock. So, we played Divinity 2, like you said. You also sent me a game this week that you...
yes, Jim!
Yeah, you got it off G-Man on Twitter or something,
yes.
And I saw the Sphere Hunter tweeting about it too. But
everyone started tweeting about it the day after it came out, and I had already got it, and it was a good idea to get it.
It's called Nightmare of Decay, and if you wanna get a game recommendation from us right now, just go and buy Nightmare of Decay right now, because it's less than $5.
Yeah.
I think, if it's still on sale.
It's not even on sale. Even not on sale. What is it? $7, $6, something like that.
It's
ridiculous.
An amazing fucking game made by one guy. It's a Resident Evil remake-esque game. Really good combat, really good puzzles, really good atmosphere. All of it's extremely good. You got me into Heilung, however they say the name.
Oh, yes, yeah.
The band that did the music for Hellblade.
Senua's Sacrifice, yeah.
Very good music. Almost everyone I've shown it to has disliked it except for John.
Cassie hated it too. Cassie said it was the worst pick of music I've ever picked.
I've also listened to Cat Lee King and his Cox, which is like a rockabilly band from the States. They've done some good songs. I listened to them this week. I'm watching season 6 of Better Call Saul. I'm having my dad tape it for me off cable.
That's the brand. That's the last one, right?
That's going to be the last one. Yeah, the last piece of Breaking Bad media. Hopefully,
Until Gus Fring gets a show.
I hope they don't make that stupid fucking Big Mouth show.
Jim, that's already made.
No. That doesn't exist, bro. That doesn't
Slippin'
exist.
Jimmy or whatever it's called.
Fucking stupid. I also watched Jennifer's Body, which was a good movie with what's her name in it? Megan Fox. Extremely good movie. Really funny horror film. It came out before sort of not revisionist, but that spark that kind of reinvented horror, like Cabin in the Woods and stuff.
Yeah.
This movie came before
I love
that.
Cabin in the Woods.
I don't like that movie at all.
Really? I like that movie a ton, really.
And the last movie I'll talk about that I watched was Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot, which starred
Never heard of it.
Joaquin Phoenix. It's a Gus Van Sant film, the same guy who made Elephant and Good Will Hunting and a few other movies, and Finding Forrester. I don't think it's a good movie at all, but it was interesting, and it has like Jonah Hill in it and a bunch of other character actors in it, and it tells the story of a cartoonist who was in a drunk driving like car accident.
I've
when
seen
he was
the
young.
trailer to this movie. I've seen the trailer to this movie. Looking at pictures on my phone, I recognize like the scene. I recognize how they look together. Yeah.
That guy in real life made a show that premiered on Teletoon. Like that's the network it started on, was Teletoon, and it was called Quads, and it was about a bunch of like degenerate paraplegic people having sex and doing crass things. And I remember watching that when I was far too young. So it's about that guy who made that show. It was interesting, but I don't think it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. But that's it for the old bi-weekly breakdown. And I'm excited to get into our topic at hand here, Dan. So why don't you start us off on Redline?
Redline can wait 1 millisecond. Mob Psycho Season 3 was announced. Did you know this?
Did you hear about this? Did you see this? No, I did not.
Did you hear about this? Everyone's talking about this. My people are telling me everyone's talking about this. Coming out in October, there will definitely be an episode where we finalize and finish Mob Psycho. I'm so excited to see the finale in anime form.
Is that going to be the last part of it?
Last
the
one.
Season?
Mob Psycho's done. So yeah, Mob Psycho is done. They're adapting the last part to anime, working with what the hell's his name? One does Mob Psycho. Yeah, one does Mob Psycho as well. Yeah, they're working with one to adapt it properly, and I'm super duper excited. But we will get into Mob Psycho. I just needed to say that. I was thinking about it again.
Little anime update from old Danny.
Yep, the anime update, the anime corner. Mob Psycho, or
Redline.
Redline is a 2010 movie directed by Takeshi Koike, and it is insanely good movie, in my opinion.
Amazing animation, amazing soundtrack, great effects,
amazing budget,
and it drove the company that made it into the ground.
Pretty much, yeah. That was his. We'll get into it. But Jim, did you ever hear about this movie before this,
Fuck
or
no.
did you know?
God,
really,
no.
not.
Where would I have heard about this?
Jim, I don't know. You're a movie guy. You just talked about a bunch of movies no one's ever seen except for you and the director.
This is one of those movies where I subscribe to Super Eye Patch Wolf, and he makes a video, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that's about. I'm not going to watch that.
Fuck you, Jim.
And he did a video on Redline before.
Yeah, a couple years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, he did a video on Redline, basically just talking about. I rewatched it, and I remember it being much longer, but it's only like 15 minutes long. I thought it was much longer.
It was 1:40, I think.
Yeah, the movie, the Super Eye Patch Wolf video.
Oh, the video.
Because his videos have progressively gotten longer and more 45 minutes to an hour piece. That video was like 17 minutes long, but it was a good type video. Super Eye Patch Wolf, one of my favorite creators. But yeah, that was where, I don't know if I started knowing about Redline from that video, or that video reawakened me knowing about Redline, because I vaguely remember seeing GIFs of this movie. I see the big dude's pompadour like stretching back as he starts the car, and his face and everything. So I don't know which came first, the Super Eye Patch Wolf video or the Danny's pompadour adoration. I love pompadours, Jim. That's one of my favorite anime hairstyle tropes. I love big pompadours on my characters so much.
Dan likes Elvis impersonators.
Oh yeah, I do. I love Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho. I love Sweet JP too. They both have beautiful pompadours.
So, what is Redline about, Dan?
Okie dokie. So, Redline is about the Redline Race. The Redline Race is a race that happens, I believe it was either once, I think it was once every couple years, once every 10 years. Not very important, but it's about a race The Redline Race is on a certain planet or certain star system area, and it basically pitches a bunch of the galaxies or the universe, whatever, their top racers together, and whoever, what do they get? Whoever wins Redline, you just get a bunch of money and stuff like that?
I don't know. That doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. It's just a huge, insane race. Anything goes. It's basically across an entire planet. It's like hundreds of kilometers at once. You can use weapons. You can kill the people. You can do whatever. You can use any type of car. You can dig through the soil with a little mole car. We saw people doing that. You can go on the water. It's a racing movie at heart, but it is what racing is to, like, driving in the mall parking lot to, like, dropping an atom bomb on a racetrack is. It's absolutely fucking stupid. It's insane from minute 1 to the very end. I don't think Jim expected the end of this movie. We'll talk about it.
I was sitting there mouth agape at the time. Let me tell you, me and Dan, we fucking hate racing.
Yeah, I have no, like, if us saying this is a racing movie puts you off, it's not a racing movie. These are steel fighters. They're fighting each other on the track. It is crazy.
Let me say, I grew up with my parents. They owned racehorses, so I was at the racehorse track a lot.
You've said that before, yeah.
And I like going to the horse races because there's, like, they're animals. You can see them, they're running. They're actually exerting effort. And if I have no temptation. I hope I live my life, the rest of my life, and I never go to a NASCAR race or something. That looks like the most boring fucking shit I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Sitting there and watching a bunch of cars go around in a circle.
That was a long time, too. My, I guess, what would he be? My uncle is very into NASCAR. He's very, very into NASCAR.
I think that we talked about this when we were watching the movie, but I think that if there was more of a personality element to, like,
yes, exactly,
racing or something, like if it was more like WWE, where everything was kind of like rigged and stupid, and they had like, I am the gimp suited man, and I'm racing this car, this race because my family blew up in an explosion caused by that racer, and he points at him when he raced to death.
That's what I'm saying, because NASCAR ratings have gone through the fucking floor. No one cares about NASCAR anymore. And the biggest thing is they're not getting new fans. That's their problem. NASCAR is a dying sport just because people aren't watching it who are new. So the people that are watching it start to, kick the bucket, and then no one takes their place. Emp Lemon, dude on YouTube, Emp Lemon did a very good video on NASCAR, because I'm not saying I love NASCAR, but that video made me see the appeal of NASCAR. Because there is stuff that happens behind the scenes, and there is, like, those people do put in a lot of effort to be good at what they do.
Yeah.
But it's not interesting to watch. I think that unless there's a crash, and that's what everyone loves to see. They love to see a burning crash, and they love to see a man's body get flung through the windshield at 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
It doesn't happen anymore, though, because obviously crashes aren't good, but everyone knows when there's a crash, that'll get the most views.
That's fucking horrific.
Everyone knows that.
I feel like part of the reason why this movie works so well is that there's so much personality in maybe not in the character writing because it's pretty plain and stupid, but in like character design and car design and stuff. So if NASCAR was more of that, where they had like crazy ass cars that people could drive and stuff, then maybe people would get more interested in it.
Jim says he wants the NASCAR drivers as big gorilla men and two women in spandex that are 8 feet tall with wiggly arms and a big machine head dude that plugs into his car.
I think that the good intro to this movie was they did a race before they did the red line.
Yes, the yellow line. They did the yellow line.
And during this race, we were introduced to our main character, Sweet JP, Joshua Punkhead, Mr. JP, and he's riding in his yellow Trans Am against all these disgusting, space cars. And the other main character in the movie is Sanashi, which is
Cherry Boy Sanashi,
which is the other main racer in these races that you follow. And it's like you get to the yellow line and the characters are like shooting missiles at each other, and they're saying stuff like, I wrote some quotes down, they're saying, I'm going to send all you bastards straight to hell, and then launching torpedoes at one another. So that's the kind of energy this film has. And it's not only about the racing, right? It's about everything that's going on around it. It's about, especially in the yellow line, it's about the crowds of like weird fucking aliens who are watching the race.
Yeah, so movie focuses on Yellow Line for the first maybe 10, 20 minutes. It's the intro, basically, to get you accustomed to everything. And
they're on Dog Planet. They're on Dog Planet.
Yes, they literally are. There's a bunch of dogs and shit. Yeah, the intro starts out, and you don't really see any of the racers at first. You can hear engines and stuff in the distance, but it's a lot of the crowd being like, oh my god, they're coming, get your cameras ready, get your cameras ready. They're flipping around their alien cameras and shit, and then eventually they come, and the cars blow past them with so much force, it's like ripping people out of their seats. And it's like a monsoon
It's so
coming.
good, because the beginning of that film is like a kid jumping around with his dad, like, Dad, you're gonna miss it, you're gonna miss it. And they get the shit together, and then when the cars go by, they all get blown over. But there's another scene, I don't know if it's in the Yellow Line or the Red Line, where there's these people waiting in a tower. I think it might be in the Yellow Line. And then the cars go by, and for a second, they're fine, they're just watching the race, and then the shock wave of air hits them, and they get, like, the freaking tower gets destroyed, and they get blasted off the freaking stands. It's
this
really
movie
cool.
is pure adrenaline. This movie is just everything that you'd think you shouldn't do and you can't show by the effect of a car doing something. The movie does. It's amazing.
The biggest portion of this, too, that really gets into the Yellow Line as well, is the crazy animation, because this is the first scene where, like, sweet JP is hanging in the back, and his partner, Liam O'Brien, is like, don't worry, he'll get to the front of the race, and then he sticks, like, some kind of nitrous frickin' capsule in this engine thing, and he crashes it down, and then the car shoots forward, he blasts back in his seat, and his pompadour's flopping around.
It accentuates his arms stretching out to such an insane degree. If you took any frame of it without watching it in total, it would just look messed. It stretches his arms out to so long. It gives it so much weight and feeling to him doing that. And they do it a couple times, but it's just fucking crazy. I wanted to mention, so this movie came out, I would say it has a cult classic, or a cult
appeal.
Kind of a cult appeal to it now. I would 100% say that. Everyone knows how good this movie is. If you're in an anime circle, you know how good Redline is. But when it came out, it got shit on. It had a budget of about, it says 30 million online, but you're generally supposed to add at least 50% or double it, just because of advertising and because of unforeseen costs. It made $8 million.
It's a travesty.
It did shit. A travesty, yeah.
Well, I think part of that isn't their, like, part of that's their fault too, because we watched the movie. Oh,
yes, it is.
And
oh, God.
None of it is 3D animated. It's beautifully hand-drawn. All these expressive characters. Like, let me ream off some of the characters in this movie. Some of the
Everyone looks different. All the backgrounds are what gets me. It's not just plain backgrounds. It's every alien is pretty much unique.
There's bulbous chav parrot people.
Yes, there are. They're the ticket scalpers.
There's the volcano grandma and the Dark Souls 2 hallway cigarette seller.
Yes. There's
a spider camel mechanic. There's Machine Head. Oh, yes. The crying robot who doesn't have any skin. The Booba robot car and and the bunch of CRTs and the good set design and stuff. But everything is so expressive. All the characters are so expressive in every scene, and everything's moving every freaking second. So I can see why.
Shit's always going on. Stuff's always happening.
There aren't many still frames in this movie.
God, no. This movie has over 100,000 hand-drawn animation cells.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and it was a couple years overdue. And do you want to know the worst thing, Jim?
What?
This was this dude's directorial debut.
Well,
this is how he came onto the scene. And in looking at it now, that's an amazing attempt. Insanely good. You made a movie that will be remembered forever. But at the time, I can imagine this coming out and him being like, yeah, I'm not going to have a job tomorrow. My movie made no money. I hope he knows how much people love it now. I'm sure he does.
He's directed 3 things since now called Lupin the Third.
Oh, Lupin the Third's insanely popular, Jim. You might not know what it is, but like Lupin is to what Darth Vader and Star Wars is to us. Like, Lupin has tons of movies and promotions and productions.
Well, he's done 3 of those films after he did Redline.
Oh, really?
But it was really impressive to me. Well, not impressive, but you showed me the trailer after we watched the movie, and it was was literally the same kind of style, but it was all different characters. It wasn't a scene from the film.
No.
It was like 2.5 minutes of a completely different animation, and it was completely different character designs for the main character and the cars and everything, and it was really impressive looking. But I bet they had to scrap a lot of things.
Where'd that money go? That's what I said, right? I'm like, what happened to that? Because there was different music we'd never heard. There was, completely different characters almost. Everyone was the same, but looked completely different. So what happened? Like, how do you do that in a movie? How do you just be like, you know what, we're just starting over pretty much. We're just scrapping this idea and starting over.
Do you think that they might have, this is speculation on my part and Dan's part, do you think that they might have like gotten other studios to do work on the film too? Because there's an interlude scene that I thought was really funny where there's a family at a table where the mom says, violence is the only thing that gets me hot anymore. And it's a completely different sort of animation style. So you think that was a component of it too, just to get the movie out the door? It also has a very abrupt ending.
I do not think... I think the abrupt ending is probably because his studio was like, listen, we need to get something out. So this movie was supposed to come out at one of the Japanese film festivals, and they missed that release, which is very bad, very, very bad to miss a release like that. So they had to push it out very soon, because I do agree with you, it does feel like the ending is just coming, and then, okay, ending's there, movie's done, roll the credits, and it comes up on screen and says, in big bouncy letters, love, end. And we both went, well, movie's pretty much done. I don't think any other companies worked on this movie. This was pretty much his vision seen from the start to the very end. For better or for worse, I think for better, but obviously, money-wise and everything, way, way for worse, but... You don't really see that too often, that a studio really lets a dude run wild with his own vision until it's done.
Well, probably because things like this happen.
Yes, most likely. If someone had the reins on him and were like, listen, we can't draw 100,000 frames of animation.
Well, I mean, like, you hear 100 cases of that thing happening, right? Where they set a little studio aside, whatever big company, and they make something awesome, like the people who made Silent Hill. They were making Silent Hill in a fucking like broom closet, and they had to convince Konami to keep them open and stuff. What a shitty fucking company. But it's always those small creators. It's like David Lynch fucking making Eraserhead over 10 years,
making his weekly
basement.
newsletters.
Yeah, and can you believe it? It's Friday once again. But yeah, I feel like this movie probably didn't have any sort of attention at the time. And probably because, I noticed this too, that half of the main voice cast is from Critical Role, and they were the ones you'd get just to like plop out a dub in 2009. Like Liam O'Brien's in it,
especially at the time, yeah.
And Sam Riegel's in it, and a bunch of other people I'd probably know, but I didn't recognize. And yeah, it was probably like one of those movies where they didn't have any more budget to slap a dub together. But the dub, we watched the dub, and I rewatched the dub. The dub's amazing. Really good, yeah.
No, it's really good. I watch mostly subs. Pretty much 98% of all the stuff I watch is subs. But if something's got a good dub, I will admit it 100%. Gurren Lagann's dub is really good. This dub is insanely good. I almost think this dub is worth watching over the sub, just so you can pay attention to all the animation cells exactly correct.
Was it supposed to be in English or was it supposed to be in Japanese?
It's supposed to be in Japanese.
Well, I'd have to listen to or read something that the director wrote, because I know the guy who made Cowboy Bebop literally said, like, yeah, just watch it in English, it's better.
Yeah, some animation like studios and production people and especially like directors say that, because a lot of it is looking at the animation and like appreciating it. But to me, lots of dubs aren't that great. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an elitist.
They cheap out and they don't care about the English market.
Yeah, that's what probably more so. But what else was I wanting to say? So did you watch that Super Eye Patch Wolf video on Redline or no?
No, I did not.
No.
What did he have to say?
So I thought it was really interesting, and I didn't get a chance to watch it in full. I watched about half of it. But there is an OVA, which is an original video animation, which is just like something you'd get on a random DVD or like included on something.
Yeah.
And it came out in 2003, 7 years before this movie. It was by the same production studio and by the same guy, and it was called Travist Planet. And it was featuring two characters that were also exactly how they were in Redline. So we just reused two characters from, I don't know if it was a nod to it or if it was like,
it's probably just
liked how they
test
looked.
Animation or something that he just carried over.
Yeah. It had the red lobster dude that you see in the...
slurp down the maggot noodles?
Yes, it had that, and it had his partner that was getting his ass kicked by, what the hell's his name? Little Deblin or something with that? Yeah. I forget his name. But very, very weird, and it was very good too, but it was rough around the edges. You could definitely tell it wasn't ready to be shown off to people. Kind of weird. I would say watch it. It's free on YouTube. No, who the fuck's going to copyright claim that?
Going over this film, what do you think about the plot?
I think simple. I think turn your brain off.
I think usable. I think doesn't matter. I think
no, pretty much
justification for seeing random things.
Yeah, literally.
A lot of this movie is just like nonsensical animation and violence. So the plot is just a kind of a hang on to facilitate those things happening, right? Like they're on the dog planet first. And it's just a planet full of human dogs, and they go to like the Robo world with the refugee planet. They go to
Space Nazi world, yeah. They go to Nazi Robo world. And Robo world is amazing.
There's just random characters like Sweet JP's partner in this. Let me get his name.
Frisbee, or are you talking about
Frisbee? Yes, yeah. He looks like a freaking gremlin. He looks like a little like troll.
Everyone looks weird. I think Sweet JP and Sonashi are the only two humans. Besides, like I think there's two racers who are humans. There's a couple maybe.
All the robot fellas were once human, I think.
Very clearly, yes. Yeah, Robo World is where the new Redline's being held, and it is literally just Nazi land. They all wear military suits, and they have a salute they do. And they're all insignia. About robots. They have insignia on their suits. They don't try and shy away from that. These are Nazi people, and they suck, and everyone hates them.
They commit war crimes. They have Funky Boys. Dan's favorite character, Funky Boy.
Funky Boy is one of the strongest characters. They have military biological stuff, and they have the peacekeeping robots that they introduce, and then the peacekeeping robots immediately go on to melt someone with a laser.
Yep. I feel like this movie can be split into 3 different portions, right? There's the yellow line, the downtime before red line, and then red line.
Yeah.
I feel like even the down parts in between the two races were still really fun because they have
like it. Yeah.
They have cool little character interactions, like all the guys trying to get him to buy tickets, and he's talking to Sanashi at the bar and learning about different things and getting in bar fights with the Robo World people. And he has that big stupid motorcycle that here's all the stuff that I found fucking ridiculous about Sweet JP, right?
Jim hated his motorcycle even though it was so cool.
He had a switchblade comb.
Yes.
So he'd flick out a switchblade, then comb his hair. He strikes matches on floors and shit, and on people's heads and stuff, because he's a cool lad. He's got big stupid Elvis hair. We've touched on that.
I love the pompadour.
And he's got the huge motorcycle with the big dumb front end you can't see over. He's literally like craning his arms 6 feet in the air to grab the handlebars.
And then Jim goes, he can't even see over it, and then he instantly crashes into a ditch.
Yep, it was quite funny.
But I love everyone in this movie. You instantly, maybe it was just me, because I've watched this movie half a dozen, if not a dozen times. I've watched this movie maybe once a year. But you could instantly tell everyone's motivations and who they were as a person. Like, I loved all the racers in Redline. They all have such a unique personality.
That's because they come up and they say, I'm doing this, and this is happening to me.
I'm doing this, and I'm epic. Jim, I love Lynchman and Johnny Boy. I'd watch an entire show about Lynchman and Johnny Boy.
I will say there are lots of portions of this film where the other racers are doing other things besides just racing.
Yeah, it's cool.
The 2 guys, the Lobster Man and his partner, are getting to fight in a bar and doing stuff and digging through the track with his mole man car.
Yes, Miki and Todoroki are using their mole car, and they're digging through with Gory Rider, the gorilla cop.
Jesus Christ.
Gory Rider is the broken, corrupt cop, and he's talking in an interview, and they're like, Gory Rider, you know it's against the law to beat people up when you pull them over. Yeah, I don't care. And there's video footage of him just smashing their heads in with the backs of guns and stuff as he pulls them over. And then he gets into his car and he gently kisses the picture of his girlfriend.
The girlfriend who's also his partner, scandalous.
Yes, his partner. Yeah, they were like, do you want to comment on it? And he's like, no.
They're also always talking about, like, the characters from... They're always like, it's this so-and-so from the planet with the magical princess. And then... At the end of the movie, the magical princess comes and protects them from Funky Boy and the robot man.
Yes!
And that's a very sexual planet because all the ladies are dressed very skimpily, and the 2 riders at the end literally have a big boobed, like, Gundam car.
I think it's an all-woman planet. I think that's what they kind of were mentioning. It's a planet of all women that can do magical shit. And yeah, their car gets flipped over. Jim was pogging when he saw this. Their car gets flipped over, and then it started morphing, and I think you saw the boobs appearing, and you were like, what's happening? And then they were in the boobs, controlling the car.
The breasts were like the cockpit of the car. There was like one rider in each tit.
That should be a commonplace in army stuff. They should have like genitalia tanks where you sit in the testicles and stuff. That would be so scary to see.
Truck nut tanks.
Truck nuts, yeah. You should hang truck nuts on the back of all these cars in Redline.
I feel like it's hard to describe this film and get a lot of like sort of intention behind our descriptions of things, because you should just watch it, because the appeal of this film is just like the unending like musical soundtrack, the unending like,
oh, it's so good, like
pumping action that's going on, and the crazy things the cars do. That's the main, draw of this film and why I think it's so good.
Watch it. It's free on YouTube. Not great quality. I would say
I wouldn't watch it
if
there.
You can.
I wouldn't watch it there. It's zoomed in and in 360p, so I'm not going to recommend that at all.
I could see it. It's still in circulation for
Torrent
Blu-ray.
Torrent it.
Buy the Blu-ray.
How much was the Blu-ray?
I don't know, like $20.
Oh, that's not bad. I might
something like that.
Check that out and put it on Amazon.
It's not one of those Blu-rays of old anime movies that are like $79.99 for 2 episodes of an anime series. Anime Blu-rays are fucked prices. They're horrible prices in my opinion. And I love anime.
I just traded in some. I told you that I played Pokemon Sapphire last week, and I literally didn't like it so much that I just traded in the cartridge yesterday, and I bought the Wind Rises at our local game store, Game Cycle, and Blu-ray's there, like a regular Blu-ray. So you're looking for going in, and you're like, oh, let me get Cop Out with Bruce Willis. That'll be like $5. Most of the Blu-rays are $5, but the Wind Rises was $15. So
God damn.
That was most of my Pokemon Sapphire cartridge trade-in value. But I mean, yeah, I think it's weird that just like one company owned the distribution rights to Studio Ghibli movies, and they buy up like all this different stuff to just sell for a premium.
Studio Ghibli 100%. You can release Studio Ghibli movies a million different times in steel books and collector's editions and this and that. And I believe Studio Ghibli used to. I don't think they do it anymore. I could be wrong, but I remember them doing like, how old Disney used to be like, we're putting it in the vault. You won't see it for a little while. I think Studio Ghibli had that kind of affliction for a little bit, being like, you won't see this for a while.
I think you're right, because I think Disney handled the distribution for Studio Ghibli movies in other territories.
I think you are most likely right. Lots of people view Studio Ghibli as kind of Japan's Disney, but I think Studio Ghibli never disliked Jewish people, if I had to guess.
Like Disney did? Well, I wish that... Who owns the distribution rights by... Oh, it's Toko...
To Redline?
To Toko... Oh, Toho Kushin... Oh, fuck.
Toho? Just say Toho. Everyone knows what Toho is.
Toho. Yeah, they distribute it. And I'm assuming they own the rights now, because Madhouse is gone. They got killed by this film.
So this film pretty much fucked Madhouse for that. Madhouse is still around. I got that wrong. I got that incorrect. I should have known better, because I love Madhouse shit. I don't know why I said that. Madhouse made One Punch Man Season 1. They were a production company on One Punch Man Season 1. They did Parasite. Parasite's another insanely good one. They've done recently, like this year, or 2021 I should say, they did an anime called Sonny Boy, which... You'd probably like Sonny Boy. It's very, very weird and very bizarre and hard to comprehend.
Midway through a seemingly endless day of summer vacation, third-year middle school student Nagar and his class, along with a transfer student Nozomi and the aloof, mysterious Mizuho, are suddenly transported to an alternate dimension.
It's kind of weird. Shit just happens, and it does have an overarching story, but it's very weird to wrap your head around.
That looks cool.
And they did an anime called Tact OP Destiny, which, hot opinion, I think Tact OP Destiny fucking sucks. It came out in 2021. I watched it, and I was really hopeful for it, and it made me angry at the end. It was just a big advertisement for a gacha game.
They also did The Vampire Dies in No Time, Police in a Pod...
Never heard of either of those.
Bibliophile Princess. That looks like a bad one. That looks like something I would not like. I feel like this movie would be ruined by us describing some of the things that happen in it.
It would, because you can't. I can't describe to you guys, everyone listening, If you're listening right now, I can't describe to you what a funky boy is. I can't describe to you what a robo world is. I lack the knowledge to tell you how Funky Boy is born and that he should have slept.
I like these kind of films. I feel like the thing that ruins long franchises for me, like Alien or something, is they always try to describe why the alien was there in like Alien 7.
It was good. It had no. Funky Boy is sleeping. Let him sleep. I don't need to know Funky Boy's backstory. I don't need to know why they built him. I don't need to know what's he gonna do. He's awake now.
I think that's why I don't like new Trek and Star Wars and stuff, is that I don't give a rotten rat's ass about this fucking family or how Picard got here or whatever the fuck is going on. Just tell me another story. Tell me a new story. Tell me that. Just give me something new. And Redline is fresh. It's fresh and like a baby's bottom. It's a film that stuff just happens.
Shit happens and it's cool. It doesn't need to go into detail, yeah.
I don't need to know the history of the dog people. I don't need to know what the Robo World guys before they were Robo World. I don't need to know this. I need to know about Sweet JP and how he has a little bit of a past of rigging races, and that
you see Big Pimpin'. You see a dude with an epic big purple pimp coat. And he slides into his cool cards. Must be a memory JP had. He saw him when he was a kid or something.
He kisses two women at once.
2 women at once. Can you guys believe that?
And I'm not saying he kisses one woman and then kisses
the other woman.
The women smush their faces together to make one pair of lips, and he kisses them both at once, and he slides into his pimp race car.
He's wearing alligator skin shoes, and he doesn't even say anything. He just looks at the camera and like nods his head a little bit or winks, and then he just drives off into the sunset, and his car hyper extends 1,000 feet as he does it.
There's 3 pivotal memories from Sweet JP.
One
of them is that. One of them is he getting beat up or something. I don't fucking care.
And one of them is when he's getting beat up with Frisbee.
And then the other one is he meets Sanashi in like East Park go-karts. And she crashes her go-kart in like some tires, and he's like, everything's okay, you don't need to worry. And she's like, I do need to worry, I need to prove myself, and everything's right, I got this. So,
yes, you're correct. He has those 3 pivotal memories. So everyone is born with 3 pivotal memories that happen in their childhood, and his were those 3.
Yeah. Big Pimpin'.
Big Pimpin'. But Madhouse also made the Tatami Galaxy, and the Tatami Galaxy is one of my favorite anime of all time. I don't really talk about it because a bunch of people don't know what the fuck I talk about when I talk about the Tatami Galaxy.
What is that?
It is how do I describe this? It is a show with every episode featuring a different instance of a dude going back to the beginning of summer. Not time travel-esque, because he's not aware that he's doing it. It's kind of just alternate realities of what would have happened. He's basically like, I just got into college, and this is the rose-colored college life I've always dreamed about. I always knew my life would end up with me taking the tennis club, and he would like... Weird shit happens. It's a mile a minute subtitles. Like, it's mostly known for its insanely fast-paced subtitles that lots of people can't read in time, so they need to pause it and continue reading it. The style's real fucking weird, and it made me not feel good at the end. It's very cool. It made me have an existential crisis.
Dan always likes those films that make him feel like reality is turning to mush.
Like, what were we talking about? Don Hertzfeldt, It's Such a Beautiful Day Out? Is that what it's called? That movie made me sad.
That movie makes
we should
my
do an
stomach
episode
hurt.
on that.
That movie, for people who don't know, that's a movie about a guy who's dying of cancer, and at the end, he just decides not to die, and it was, like, horrific.
Yeah. Yeah, me and my friends watched that movie in my basement, and then we were like, I don't know how to feel about that, and we just left and walked around.
You watched it young, too. You watched it when you were, like, 15 or something.
Yeah.
People think of Don Hertzfeldt, they're like, ha, my spoon is too big. My anus is too big. But no, he makes some fucked films. So he made that film, and the rest of his stuff is just about, like, about characters who decided to live forever and then having to deal with that. That's all of what his work is about, which I think is very interesting.
That's very weird. Yeah, I mean, we're wrapping up near the end. It's been a long night. I'm a tired boy. I'm gonna crawl into my bed relatively soon and read my How to Survive Camping book 3 that I'm on, I believe. Something like that.
I don't know where people are living who are listening to this, but right now it's a beautiful May day in good old Canada, in southwestern Ontario, and it's beautiful outside. It's lovely. and you should be outside. I've gone for a walk every day. Just go outside and enjoy the sunshine. And if you live in a place that's kind of shitty, I don't know, go and roll
go on
around
Google
the snowbank
Maps
or something.
and go on Google Maps, go to Canada, and you can see what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it's gorgeous out. But
I wanted to say, whoever is listening, if you are still listening, thank you so much. Absolutely,
I don't think we've ever
thank
said
you.
that, but now that we actually have people who are listening to us that aren't just, bits of code we looked at on our RSS feed, we really appreciate you listening to this show. And if we're doing things you want to listen to, then that's the main thing behind this. I always said that if I have one person listening who is enjoying my shit, then that's enough. Like,
we definitely are having it. There's consistent viewership. Like,
I'm happy to make people happy.
Jim's a happy guy. I think that's about it for Redline.
But for next time, Dan, are you ready?
I'm not. Is it going to be weird?
Oh, maybe I won't pick that because we're playing Divinity 2. Maybe I'll save that for another day. Let me pull out my list here.
It was a video game, gents. I'll know what that is.
So what I'm going to choose for next time is we're going to talk about video game collecting and classic gaming and all that stuff. Because
the guys with the Funko Pops on their walls.
Yeah, those depraved, dangerous individuals who, right now, everyone who's listening to this, go to YouTube and type in Game Room Tour.
Don't do that.
And you'll see the most depraved members of society, basement dwellers.
This is my Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword collector's
So,
edition.
as you can see, that's a drinking game of, like, watch 5 or 6 of those videos and drink every time you hear someone say, "So as you can see,"
really?
And then you'll be
Is that
dead.
a thing they say?
You'll be dead by the end of those videos.
As you can see. I'm going to start using that in my vocabulary more.
So as you can see.
I'm going to say that to customers. So as you can see.
So as you can see, I have my Funko Pops along the door. But specifically, I want to talk more about like history preservation and different things.
Okay, I can feel that. That's an interesting one. I like that.
Some good channels to probably look into for the audience and maybe for you, Dan, is My Life in Gaming.
Okay.
Retro RGB.
I think I've heard of him.
Stuff like that. You get some good channels out of there too. I'm a guy who I've talked about before. I like powering down. I like owning a lot of things, but I do think that giving attention to some of your favorite things, whether it be video games or whatever, deserves some.
It's a good idea. Video games, especially because so many people view them as a gray area. In my opinion, video games are art for the most part. But
Goat Simulator art.
And then you get gyms saying furry cyberfucker isn't art. But
sorry for that, Lee Jackson. Sorry for that fucker.
He said our podcast was NSFW, and I guess it is, but it just makes me
it
feel
is 150%. It is NSFW. Don't feel bad, Dan. We're embracing our inner person.
We're breaking new ground with this, I think.
We're breaking new ground. Swearing on the internet. What new ground?
But next time, 2 weeks from now, we will be talking about video game collections and preservations, and
stuff
I'm
like
sure
that.
we will touch on emulating because that's a huge thing in that scene.
Yeah. But as always, you can follow me at Popeye Barkin. You can follow the other guy.
I'm at Dan Sama. That's DANSAMA.
Follow us at Shack Out Back Pod. New intro music. It doesn't have a title or just Shack Intro. It's by Lee Jackson. All podcast art and animations by CassieHDesign.com, Brandon Chen on ArtStation, and Dollbox02 on Instagram. So give 100%. Those people a follow.
Jim, do you want to know what I'm going to bring everyone out with?
What do you bring us out on here, Dan?
I've been making overnight oats. This is my recipe. You put a little 8-ounce mason jar. You get about 3/4 cup of milk. You get like a tablespoon of cocoa, tablespoon of honey, tablespoon of some like sea salt and brown sugar and stuff mixed together. A little bit less than a tablespoon. And then you get like 3/4 cups of oats and you mix it all together and let it sit for like 12 hours. And it's very delicious. I had my cup on Monday and I had my cup today and I'm going to make some more.
Yeah. Let me cut that out.